What's up, everyone? It's your girl Shay here. Welcome to my channel. If you are new, welcome back to my channel if you have been here before. And as you see by the title of this video, I'm actually going to be doing a review on the manhwa The Wheel of Fortune. So I actually did read this manhwa on Manta. The reason why I read this manhwa is that it's a part of my TBR that I had for the month of October, especially for spooky season. So I watched and read like horror or spooky anime or manga or manhwas, and this was a part of that list. It's about 40 chapters long. It is available, or actually it used to be available on Manta. At the time that I'm recording this video, the licensing has actually stopped for this. So you're unable to read it on Manta, but I'm sure that it will probably return. There's many manhwas that I've read on Manta that had licensing issues and then actually returned during some sort of period of time. I'm unsure when it will return, but if you are interested in reading it, that is where it should be available. Now, as far as spoilers are involved, this review will have no spoilers, so don't worry about if you actually do want to read this after hearing my review about it and kind of what it's about. And if it's something that you're thinking of wanting to read, don't worry, I won't spoil the entire manhwa for you so that you are still pleasantly surprised by all the twists and the turns. In this review, I'm going to give you what I like and what I didn't like pretty much about the manhwa itself, like about the plot or the characters or anything like that. So definitely just stay tuned because I'm just going to give you guys just what I completely thought about this entire series. Now, like I said, this series is actually pretty short, but it did take me a long time to read it, mostly because of the fact that I had some confusion involved with the series in periods of time where I thought was going a little bit slow and where it wasn't just keeping me that engaged. But also I was reading multiple things at the same time. I'm reading a fanfic, I'm also reading a regular book as well, and I'm reading a physical manhwa as well. So just trying to make time for all the reading that I like or enjoy doing kind of ended up putting the manhwa on the back burner for me just a little bit. Now, as far as what The Wheel of Fortune is pretty much about, it's pretty much about a girl by the name of Navy Black who is trying to solve a mystery regarding what happened to her. So a fire was involved at a school that she taught at, and pretty much by the time she was found, she had de-aged by about 10 years and had no recollection or no memory about anything past that age that she is now at. She also she's also trying to find out what happened to a friend of hers and why this friend of hers just will not speak to her. So she decides to entrust the detective Ale to pretty much help her along the way to see what happened to her friend and for her to be able to speak to her. So Ale is a detective, and she is pretty much just working at a detective agency, and what she does is pretty much solve crimes, and she is a little bit of a firecracker of a character. She comes off as someone who bends the rules all the time, definitely pushes her limits, and just wants to figure out what is happening throughout any of the cases that she has had. That seems to be an ongoing theme that continues to come up around this character, because a lot of the other people that work at her agency and even some family members have told her, like, please don't get involved, or what are you doing, sort of a situation with her, but she really doesn't care. Now, Navy, she herself as a character, comes off as just a little bit, not even naive, but just kind of comes off as like she wants to do good, but she really just is trying to figure out what is going on with her memories and is really just trying to figure out what really happened to her in the entire thing. There's also a whole host of supporting characters in this. You have Navy's friend, the one that is not currently speaking to her. You also have a character by the name of Rose, who was a student at the school as well. And you also have a few other characters that you meet along the way, whom I will not spoil for you who they are. But there are other characters that you meet along the way that kind of help move the story along. Now, what I did enjoy about the series as a whole was I did enjoy the actual plot. I thought it was very interesting, the summary, which is what drew me into wanting to read it in the first place. I just thought it was very well written and just thought it just gave you just enough to get you hooked and to get you to want to read it. Also, what I enjoyed too was the setting that everything took place at. I like that it took place at a school that had dormitories because it honestly gave me Harry Potter vibes in just a little bit of a way. Just because I'm so used to most school settings being like you go to school for the day and then you go home. But this one really dealt with the whole aspect of like you going to some sort of a like school where you have to stay overnight at, or where kids are traveling pretty far to go there. Another thing that I really enjoyed about it was the overall mystery and the thriller involved. I thought it was very interesting, some of the characters that they brought in when it came to you trying to solve the mystery on your own, and kind of how you as the reader start to suspect certain people, but a lot of the twists and the turns will kind of get you in a little bit of a tizzy. So you're like, oh my God, what is actually happening? And it gets to a certain point where actually I couldn't really put the manhwa down or stop reading it because I really just wanted to know what was actually going to happen. Also, I have to say one other thing that I really liked about it was the art style that the artist or the author drew in. Mostly because of the fact that I, for one, and I've said this before in many of my other videos, the art style in anime or manga or in manhwa can kind of throw me off on whether or not I really like the series. It can sometimes make it a little bit hard for me to get into it. So the art style has always been very important to me in some aspects. Now, it doesn't matter if it's like not drawn well, but I guess it just depends on the type of art it's drawn in. I just hope that makes sense. But anyway, I really did enjoy the art style though of this entire series. Now, what I didn't like about this, the pacing was a little bit iffy for me. There are moments where the pacing just felt like it went just a little bit too slow, and I know that there was a reason why, but it kind of just drew me out of the story and made it where reading it at times felt like more of a chore than something of enjoyment. It kind of made me feel like I just need to get through this part so I can get to something exciting to happen. And that was something that I didn't really enjoy. Also, at times, it kind of made me confused or disjointed on where the story was actually going. Like, I felt like there were some plot holes involved that didn't entirely get resolved, but I also felt like some things that happened between the characters just kind of just came out of the blue with very little to no explanation. Now, granted, that's just me, and there could have been some things that I just missed while reading it, especially if I might have been reading it too quickly, but I definitely don't try to read that fast, but maybe there is something that I may have missed through the process of me reading it. But that was something that I didn't actually really enjoy about it. I also will say one of the other things that I also didn't enjoy about this series is how, granted, it was so short. It's like 40 chapters long, and that's including the epilogue. But I feel like it could have gone on a little bit longer just to have a little bit more explanation of what was happening. Just because there were moments where like I said, the pacing was just a little bit off. Like, I just felt like some more explanation was kind of needed with what was actually happening, or a little bit more backstory into certain characters. But again, that's just me. But overall, as far as like how I felt about the series as a whole, honestly, I liked it. I enjoyed it. I thought it was something really good or great to get me really into spooky season, and not in like a horror way, but just like in a thriller vibes sort of a way of what was happening, and a really great mystery overall. And I feel like it's a very quick read for somebody who's just like, I don't want to read a 100+ chapter manhwa. I want to read something fairly short that kind of gets me in from the beginning, and something that I feel like could keep me going, and something I could just read in an afternoon when I don't have a lot going on. So if that's kind of manhwas that you're looking for, I feel like this might be right up your alley. Just be aware of pacing issues a little bit at times, and sometimes a little bit of confusion when it comes to why characters are doing certain things. Just because one of the characters, Ale specifically, the detective, one of the things that kind of threw me off was that originally she was only involved when it came to trying to find the friend of Navy, but then she got a little bit more involved than I kind of thought was needed. Also, there's not very little explanation to her family as well, and some things that happened in her family that I'm to this day of me, after ending reading this, I do not have an explanation for. Just because the author never wrote an explanation. So some things I think maybe was just left up to the reader to interpret or to guess what actually happened in those situations. But overall, I guess if I had to give a score for this out of like a 5-star read, I would probably give this like a... Actually, I have my scores on my AniList app at like a 10. So I think I gave this like a 5 or a 6 out of 10. It was great overall, great for spooky season, but just the pacing issues and the confusion and just overall the slowness at moments reading this manhwa is what kind of threw me off. But overall, I definitely recommend people reading it. If you want to read on the Manta app, it's not currently there at the moment, but keep checking back in, because licensing issues with Manta, I feel like, are always resolved. So definitely keep an eye out for this if you decide to read it. But yeah, that's the review that I have for you guys. I hope you enjoyed this review. Happy reading and almost happy Halloween. I'm sure I'll have another video out by the time Halloween hits. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe if you haven't already. I have links down below to all my social media accounts, my Instagram, my Blue Sky, my Twitter, my, you know, everything involved. It's all linked down below. So definitely check me out there if you haven't already. Like I always tell you guys, stay positive, stay nerdy in today's day and age. Stay healthy, and of course, please stay safe. All right, you guys. Bye.